just a narrow strip of land along the Mediterranean coast. Yet for thousands of years, nearly every empire that controlled the eastern Mediterranean sought to set foot here. What stands out is not how many times Lebanon changed hands. It is the fact that those layers of civilization have almost never disappeared. Within a territory of just over 10,000 square kilometers. 18 religious communities still coexist, while traces that are more than 5,000 years old remain among modern cities. Each era left behind a new mark, yet none could erase what had already existed. I'm curious to see how far this journey has reached, so let us know where you're watching from and what time zone you're in. It's fascinating how a small piece of land can bring together people from so many different places to follow a story that spans thousands of years. Not every place in the Middle East begins with desert. In Lebanon, high mountain ranges rise close to the Mediterranean coast, creating a land where multiple natural environments exist within a very short distance. The close relationship between the mountains and the sea shaped how people lived, traded, and built civilization in this region. Along that narrow coastline, one people chose the sea instead of the land. They turned the Lebanese coast into a network of ports, connecting many parts of the Mediterranean. But what made this civilization memorable was not its voyages. Its legacy is still present in the letters that billions of people use every day. The Phoenicians created a system of symbols representing sounds, laying the foundation for the Greek alphabet, the Latin alphabet, and most Western writing systems. Every time we read a line written in the Latin alphabet, we are still using the legacy of that idea. But the journey of the Phoenicians never truly came to an end. Lebanon has only about 6 million people living in the country, while the Lebanese diaspora numbers around 20 million are from the Americas to Europe. Their presence can be found in most of the world's major centers. That did not begin only because of modern wars or crises. For centuries, the Lebanese have been accustomed to leaving their homeland, building new lives while maintaining strong ties to the place where they came from. In contrast to communities that have continually moved, the cedar of Lebanon still stands on the mountains as a symbol of its people's roots. This tree was once regarded by ancient civilizations as a valuable source of timber, and its image appears more than 100 times in the Bible. Among a people who have always been on the move, the cedar is a reminder of where they began. It is not a symbol of conquest, but of endurance through every change brought by time. That connection to their roots is reflected not only in the nation's symbol, but also in the way the Lebanese have preserved their communities across generations. In many places, a meal begins with a main course. In Lebanon, it begins with sharing. A mezza meal consists of many small dishes served at the same time, where what matters is not the number of dishes, but the way people gather together, open their doors, and preserve their bonds across generations. And that spirit is seen most clearly in a city that has been destroyed many times, yet has never truly disappeared. Few cities have been destroyed more times as they continued to grow. Beirut is one of them. Located on the Mediterranean coast, Beirut became a crossroads for the region's trade routes and centers of power. This position brought wealth and civilizations to the city, but it also made it a place that was constantly contested. For more than 5,000 years, Beirut has been destroyed many times by natural disasters and conflicts. At certain points, the city had to begin again almost from nothing. The reasons Beirut collapsed are also the reasons it has survived for thousands of years. The Romans, Byzantines, Ottomans, and many other powers built upon layers of older memories, leaving behind a city that has constantly changed yet has never disappeared. Beirut is known as the Phoenix City because after every collapse, it has found a way to rise again. Some things become more distinctive the more they are worn away. Just offshore from Beirut, the Outtro rocks were not formed by an earthquake or an extraordinary event. They were shaped over millions of years as waves and wind eroded limestone that once lay beneath the sea, leaving behind two rock formations standing apart in the water. The name Pigeon Rocks comes from the generations of pigeons that have chosen this place as their nesting site. Amid a city that is constantly changing, Pigeon Rocks remind us that time does not only destroy, it also creates things that endure. Every time Beirut has been rebuilt, it has never returned exactly as it was before. It has become a new version of itself. The blue dome of the Mohammed Al-Amin Mosque still stands in modern Beirut, marking another chapter in the city's history not far away. The Terraced Museum, dating back to 1912, continues to preserve the blend of Ottoman and European architecture. In 2020, the Beirut port explosion caused severe damage to the building. But instead of disappearing, the Terraced Museum was restored along with the city surrounding it. In Beirut, rebuilding has never been only about reconstructing what was lost. It is the way a city preserves its memories while continuing to change. But long before people left their mark on this land, another story had already begun. The source of life for an entire city begins in darkness. Over millions of years, groundwater passed through karst limestone, widening tiny cracks into a vast cave system. The remarkable thing is that Jeta has never truly been finished. Every drop of water is still writing the next chapter of this cave. Minerals continue to build up on the stone columns and stalactites. A stalactite more than 8 meters long continues to grow by millimeters over time, like a geological clock that has never stopped. While people measure history in centuries, Jeta measures time one drop of water at a time. That underground water system continues to supply fresh water to Beirut and many surrounding communities, reminding us that beneath modern life, there is still a hidden world quietly sustaining all of Lebanon. In Wadi Qadisha, the landscape did not simply create a place of refuge, it created a way of life. Water carved deep into the mountains over many stages, forming a narrow valley with towering cliffs that are almost completely isolated from the outside world. That isolation turned this place into a refuge for the earliest Christian communities. Saint Saba Monastery was not built on flat ground. Instead, it clings to the cliff face, reflecting how people adapted to this environment over many centuries. And not only people. Among the steep mountain slopes, striped hyenas still survive with jaws powerful enough to crush bones, showing that every form of life here has had to adapt to the laws of nature. There was once a time when cedar forests covered the mountain slopes of Lebanon. These ancient trees became one of the oldest symbols of the land. Their wood was regarded by ancient civilizations as a precious material and appeared in structures and accounts dating back thousands of years. But those forests that once stretched across the mountains have now been reduced to only a few small stands. Climate change, declining snowfall, and natural threats are placing these ancient cedars before a new challenge. In a country continually shaped by people and history, the remaining cedar trees preserve the memory of a Lebanon that existed long before the first cities. Around 160 million years ago, the land that is now Lebanon still lay beneath ancient Jurassic rocks. Human beings did not yet exist, but water had already begun shaping Batara Gorge. Water slowly carved through layers of limestone, opening an enormous sinkhole as harder and softer rock layers eroded at different rates. 3 natural stone bridges gradually formed, suspended in the air as they remain today. Batara Gorge was not created in a single moment. It is the result of 160 million years of change that is almost impossible to notice with the naked eye. On this land shaped by rock, water, and time, people later began building monumental structures that still leave many questions unanswered today. A small land holds stone blocks so enormous that they still astonish people today. In the Bekaa Valley, Baalbek became a place where ancient builders expressed ambitions far beyond ordinary needs. Before it was expanded into a vast religious complex in the 1st century BC, the site had already served as a sacred place for ancient communities. Its most remarkable structure was the Temple of Jupiter, which once had 54 Corinthian columns standing between 21 and 30 meters tall. Beneath them are massive monolithic stones, including the trilithon blocks, weighing hundreds of tons, fitted into the structure with engineering techniques that still inspire admiration today. But Baalbek is not defined by its size alone. The nearby Temple of Bacchus still preserves reliefs and carved details that reflect the religious life of the ancient world. After nearly 2,000 years, this place continues to prove one thing: eras may pass, but what people create can continue telling their story. As one era came to an end, an entirely different kind of city began to emerge. In the early 8th century, during the Umayyad Caliphate, Anjar was built as a city with a clearly planned layout from the very beginning. If Baalbek expressed power through scale, Anjar expressed it through order. A rectangular wall with 40 defensive towers surrounded the city. Inside, the streets were arranged along two main axes running north to south and east to west, creating an urban plan that was rare for its time. What remains shows that Umayyad architecture did not erase the past. Instead, it absorbed Roman and Byzantine influences to create a new identity. In 1984, Anjar was inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of its exceptional urban planning as an early Islamic city. In Anjar, the legacy of an era is found not in monumental size, but in the way people planned a city from its very first stones. The sea can bring wealth, but it can also turn cities into prizes in struggles for power. Tripoli grew along one of the Mediterranean's most important trade routes, where different communities and cultures constantly met, competed, and left their influence behind. In the late 11th century, when the Crusades reached this land, Raymond de Saint-Gilles built the first fortifications on the high ground overlooking the city. Successive rulers continued expanding the fortress, leaving behind layers of Crusader, Mamluk, and Ottoman architecture from different periods. The citadel of Tripoli is not remarkable because of its size. It preserves the layers of power that once took turns controlling this coastline. From its elevated position, the fortress guarded the route connecting the city to its harbor, where merchants, armies, and new ideas once passed through. But the sea routes carried more than goods and power. They also carried ideas capable of changing history. Nearly 7,000 years ago, people had already settled along the coast of Byblos, while many of the great civilizations that followed had not yet appeared. Byblos has survived for thousands of years not only because of the monuments that remain. What truly departed from this harbor was an idea that changed the way humanity preserved knowledge. From this port, the Phoenicians connected ancient Lebanon with Egypt, Greece, and the Mediterranean world. Through those exchanges, a revolutionary idea emerged: symbols representing sounds instead of complex pictorial signs. From that foundation, the Greek alphabet and later the Latin alphabet gradually developed, becoming the basis for most Western writing systems today. The ships that sailed from Byblos carried more than goods. They carried a new way for people to preserve the memory of their own civilization. Overlooking the harbor that once spread that knowledge, the 12th century Byblos castle still stands, adding another layer of history to a city that has existed for nearly 7,000 years. If Byblos brought writing to the world, Tyre carried trade even farther. More than 3,000 years ago, ships from Tyre reached North Africa, southern Europe, and across the Mediterranean, transporting goods, metals, and valuable handcrafted products. Yet this place became famous for a single color. Tyrian purple was produced from sea snails through a rare and complex process. It required thousands of snails to produce enough dye for just one garment. As a result, this purple was reserved for royalty and those who held the highest positions of power in the ancient world. The Romans built a hippodrome with a capacity of about 20,000 spectators, making it one of the largest and best preserved race courses in the Roman world. Those racing tracks show that Tyre was not merely a place where goods passed through. It was a place where civilizations continued writing new chapters. Today, the Phoenician, Roman, and Byzantine layers of history are still preserved within the Tyre archaeological site, telling the story of a city shaped by the sea, trade, and the ambitions of the empires that once passed through it. A harbor does not only determine what passes through it, it also determines who controls the land behind it. For thousands of years, the port of Sidon connected Lebanon with Cyprus, Egypt, Greece, and the major trading centers of the Mediterranean. That strategic position made the city a place where empires continually competed for influence. In the early 13th century, the Crusaders built Sidon Sea Castle on a small island just offshore. A narrow causeway connected the fortress to the mainland. From this position, they could control access to the harbor, monitor ships, and protect the coastal trade route. But Sidon is remembered for more than its fortresses. Within the Old Quarter, a craft that has survived for nearly 3,000 years continues to this day, using olive oil, ash, and natural ingredients. Artisans still make soap through traditional methods, cutting each bar by hand, stamping it with their family mark, and leaving it to dry for months. A city once protected by stone and weapons has ultimately endured because of the hands that preserved its traditional craft. In Lebanon, the distance between the sea and the mountains can sometimes be covered in just a few minutes. But the change is not only in the landscape. Standing more than 600 meters above Juni Bay, the Our Lady of Lebanon statue faces the Mediterranean as a symbol of protection. Erected in 1907 with its arms outstretched, the monument has become a place where faith and the country's unique geography come together. But Harissa does not belong to only one community. Although closely associated with Christianity, it continues to welcome people from many different faiths, reflecting Lebanon's long tradition of shared sacred spaces. From Juni, the cable car carries visitors upward, where the Mediterranean coast, the city, and the mountain ranges come together in a single view. In Lebanon, the mountains do not only shape the landscape, they also shape the places where people place their faith. People often associate the Middle East with heat and deserts. But just a few hours after leaving the coastline, Faraya reveals a world covered in snow. Here, winter is not a brief seasonal event. It is part of the rhythm of life for the communities living at the foot of the mountains, amid the snow-covered landscape. The statue of Saint Charbel stands as a familiar symbol, reflecting the close connection between mountain life and the faith of the Lebanese people. But the higher you go, the more remarkable the contrast becomes. At an elevation of more than 6,500 feet, Mazar Fardabian turns a Middle Eastern country into a destination for winter sports. More than 25 miles of ski slopes stretch across the mountainsides, making it the largest ski resort in Lebanon and one of the most prominent winter destinations in the Middle East. What makes Mazar Fardabian so remarkable is not the amount of snow, but where that snow exists. Land often associated with heat is home to mountain slopes, where winter lasts for months, creating a remarkable geographical diversity just a few hours from the Mediterranean. But Lebanon's highlands do more than create a unique climate. They also preserve the remains of an empire that once ruled much of the ancient world. Fakrai still contains structures dating from the 1st to the 3rd century AD. Roman monuments are usually remembered as part of ancient coastal cities, but here they stand in a cold mountain landscape where winter blankets the surroundings in snow year after year. Snow does not cover history, it simply reveals another layer of this nation's memory. Those mountain ranges have done more than preserve the remains of ancient civilizations. Over time, they also became places where people transformed power, memory, and even their own dreams into architecture. Not every palace was built to display power. In the mountains of Lebanon, Beit Adin was established in the late 18th century as a symbol of a period when art and architecture became a way for rulers to express their status. Its courtyards, vaulted corridors, and stone mosaics reflect the blend of Arab and European influences. Light, geometry, and decorative patterns were carefully arranged, showing that every space was designed to create a balance between beauty and authority. But in those same mountains, another structure began from a completely different story. No king stood behind this castle. There was only one man and a dream that lasted almost an entire lifetime. In 1962, Musa Abdel Karim El-Mamari began building his own castle despite having no formal training in architecture. Inspired by memories of a childhood in which he had been looked down upon, he taught himself stone masonry and sculpture, then spent decades completing every wall with his own hands. Over time, the structure expanded into towers, corridors, and spaces that recreate traditional Lebanese life through life-sized wax figures. Musa Castle was not built to protect a kingdom. It proves that an ordinary person can leave behind a legacy that outlives a lifetime. Some buildings make people believe they have existed for a very long time. Qasr el-Ahlam creates that impression from the very first glance. Its towers, domes, and stone walls recall castles from many different eras, yet this structure never belonged to any empire. Built in the mountains of northern Lebanon, Qasr el-Ahlam does not recreate any specific historical period. Instead, it combines familiar images of castles, Middle Eastern architecture, and folk art to create an entirely new space. Its uniqueness lies in the fact that it does not preserve memories of the past. Instead, it shows that people can still create new heritage on a land already filled with the traces of history. Lebanon is not large in territory, yet its legacy extends far beyond its borders. Within the short distance between the sea and the mountains, people built cities, created trade routes, and preserved the memories of the civilizations that once passed through. Empires may disappear, cities may change, but writing, faith, and traditions passed down through generations continue to endure. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about Lebanon is not what once belonged to this land. It is the way a small country continues to preserve its own story after thousands of years of change.